All right, so we are going to be reviewing a few things about place value and decimals and rounding today. So let's look at number one. This was one example that we struggled with. What is the value of the 5 in this number? Now, I will tell you, boys and girls, a big issue is going to be if you don't know your place value. So before you can determine the value of digits in a number, you've got to know your place value. So if you're still struggling on which place is which, you definitely need to make sure that you're reviewing that. So let's look at this number here. It says, what is the value of the 5 in this number? So first thing we need to do is we need to locate the 5. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to find the digit 5 and I'm going to underline it, or I'm going to box it so you can see it well. Okay? Now, I've located the 5. Now, my next step is to determine what place that 5 is in. Well, right here, I see a decimal. So I know that the 5 comes after the decimal, so it is a part of a number. It's not a whole number. Remember, the place right after the decimal is the tenths place. And then the place that comes right after that is the hundredths place. So that means that that 5 is in the hundredths place. Now, that's not what the question is asking. The question is asking, what is the value of the 5? So we know that it's in the hundredths place, but it's not a 1, so it has a value greater than 100. So we need a 0, a decimal, and 2 spaces here. So we're going to put a 0 there because it's in the hundredths place, and it is a 5. So it means that the value of this digit is 5 hundredths. Okay, because there's a 5 in the hundredths place. Now, how else can we write that number? Remember, sometimes we see the values written in expanded form. So let's expand that number out here. So we would put parentheses. And remember, when we talk about the value, we do the digit times the value of the place it is in. So the digit is a 5 times it's in the hundredths place. So we would multiply it times 100th. So either of these can represent the value of the 5 in this number. It has a value of 5 hundredths, so we can write it as 5 hundredths, or we can write it in expanded form, 5 times 100. And I'm going to show you another little thing. We haven't talked about fractions yet, but you could even write it in expanded form as fractions. So you could say, can you guys see that? Or am I too far over here? You can see. So we could say, not 0, we could say 5 times 100. Right? So we could even say that. Or we could simply say it has a value of 5 hundredths. So lots of different ways that we can represent this number, okay? But we are talking about its value. So if it's a multiple choice question, you're looking for the option that has the correct value. It might be written as a decimal. It might be written as a fraction. It might be written in expanded form as a decimal. It might be written in expanded form as a fraction. You have to look for the one that correctly shows that value. Okay? All right, let's look at number 2. So number 2 is still with decimals, but here we're looking at the order of decimals. So we're trying to determine which one's greater, which one's less, right? And we're going to put them in a certain order. So this is a lot of mess right here. I look at this and my brain gets very confused. So I want to make it nice and organized. So I'm going to take this horizontal list of decimal numbers and I'm going to rearrange it vertically because that helps me to see it much, much better. So I've got 7 and 97 hundredths. I've got 7 and 9/10. I've got 7 and 79/100. And I have 7 and 96/100. Now remember, when we're comparing the value of decimals, we want to make sure that all of our numbers have the same number of digits. So I see here I've got a gap. So I want to fill that gap in. So I'm going to put, show me with your hand, what am I going to put there? Very good. I'm going to put a 0 there. So it did not change the value of that number. It just gave me a placeholder. So now they're all nice and pretty. So if I want to put these numbers in order from greatest to least, so that means the biggest number comes first, and then we get smaller as we go down. So first, I'm going to look, let me change colors so you can see. First, I'm going to look at the first digits. Well, if I look through here, look, those are all exactly the same. So I know I can't determine the greatest one by looking at my first digit because they're all equal. So I'm going to move to the place after the decimal. I've got 9979. Well, I know that 7 is the only different digit there. It's the smallest, so it's going to go where? Is it going to be first, second, third, or fourth in my list from greatest to least? Show me with your hands. Very good. It's going to go fourth. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just kind of put a line through this number and put a number 4 at the side because I know I'm done with it and I know it's going last. So I don't even have to look at that one anymore. Now with the other 3, they all have a 9 here, so I've got to move to my 100th place. So I've got a 7, a 0, and a 6. Of those 3 numbers or digits, which one is greatest? Yeah, the 7. Very good. So 7 and 97/100 comes first. Which one would come second? The 0 or the 6? Yeah, very good. The 6. So that would be number 2 in my list. And then last is a 0, so it would be a 3. And remember, we did this one as number 4 because of that digit there. So now I could either rewrite these or I could look at my options if it's a multiple choice and choose the one that has these in that order. But when you're dealing with decimals, boys and girls, I'm going to tell you the absolute best thing to do is to rewrite those numbers vertically. Remember, that means up and down, because it helps you to line those decimals up and then you can clearly see the digits in each place. Okay? All right, so a few of you struggled with rounding. So I've got one more problem up here that we're going to look at. And it's going to take a minute to adjust because it's green. I think it's being a little strange. It thinks it's a green screen. All right, so this says round to the nearest 10,000. So again, like I said when we were talking about number 1, if you don't know your place value, you're going to struggle on questions like this. You have to know what the different places are in a place value chart. Until you learn that, all of these are going to be difficult. Okay, so make sure you're practicing that. So I first have to be able to identify where the 10,000s place is. So I'm looking at this number. Can someone show me with their fingers what digit is in the 10,000s place? Show me with your fingers. What digit is in the 10,000s place? Yes, very good. It is the 4. So remember, we have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000. So my 4 is in the 10,000s place. So that's the place I'm rounding to. Now remember, the digit that comes right after the place that we're rounding to is the one that determines what happens. It's kind of like the boss. It's going to tell that place what to do. So right after that 4 is a 7. Okay? So is the 7 going to tell the 4 stay the same? Or is it going to tell the 4 to jump up 1? What do you think? Is it going to go up or stay the same? Yeah, very good. It's going to go up. Remember, 5 or more, let it soar. It's got to go up 1. So because it's greater than 5, 7 is saying to the 4, you got to jump up, right? So when we're rounding, anything that comes before the rounded digit stays the same. So I'm going to carry over the 2, the comma, and the 6. Now, 7 told the 4, jump up, so it becomes a what? Show me with your hands. Yeah, super job. It becomes a 5. So I'm going to put my 5 here. And then remember, every single digit after the place I'm rounding to becomes a what? Good. Very good. It becomes a 0. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 digits. So I've got to put 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. Don't forget your other comma there. And there's our answer. So 2,647,531 rounded to the nearest 10,000 is 2,650,000.